So I had been doing some testing and research on Shinryu era, and after understanding Shinryu, I decided to revamp my content. So as a start, I prepared this piece of content to explain some of the terms and refs that I will be using in my future guide. There are 3 strategies that I will be commonly referred to in future guides which I will explain here. My first disclaimer here is that, this guide is not a guide to explain about force mechanics, so to understand what I will be talking about, some basic understanding of force mechanic is required. So do consider coming back after you have tried Shinryu probably next week, and if you want to understand it beforehand, do refer to Scott Ong's guide on force mechanics. Link to his guide is in the description section. First off, ability differentiation. In Shinryu difficulty, there is a new mechanics on your abilities and how they affect the force gauge and HP DMG bonus during force time. Here I call them as attack ability and buff ability. Attack abilities are such as Kane's Jump 3, and attack ability can be melee, range or magic. Then we have buff abilities as well, such as Pinlo's Haste Rumba. Buff ability does not deal damage, just buffs or inflicts debuff. If you characters are force awakened, these abilities will affect the charging rate on force gauge and HP DMG bonus. Attack abilities will increase HP DMG bonus by 5% while buff abilities will increase it by 50%, excluding AA. Attack abilities does not have bonus on force gauge charging while buff abilities has 3% bonus to force gauge, excluding AA. Attack X and LD have no bonus to force gauge charging and HP DMG bonus. And Buff X and LD have 3% bonus to force gauge but only 25% to HP DMG bonus. Now for FR weapon, I categorize it into 3 categories: damage FR, auxiliary FR, and off-turn FR. Damage FR, for example, Vaughn's. So Vaughn's FR increase the HP damage bonus by 40% when using a free skill and additional 20% if it is Vaughn himself and if held brave is at least 20% of max brave. Vaughn has 20% max brave floor, so he can easily allow the entire party to achieve that. But for free skill, no one has as many free skill as Vaughn after he uses his LD. Damage FR are therefore tuned to its wielder. Vaughn himself can easily fulfill the conditions and is able to raise HP DMG bonus by 80% just from fulfilling FR condition. Damage FR for the month of July includes Camlanaut and Titus. Auxiliary FR, for example, Ursula. Ursula's FR increases the HP DMG bonus by 15% if any of your party member held 20% of their max brave and additional 30% if they hold 100% of their max brave. If you bring Garnet, 100% is easily achievable. Hence, auxiliary FR's condition are easier to fulfill by everyone in your party but has lower HP DMG bonus compared to damage FR. Ursula's, with battery and brave refunds, every character should be able to meet the condition and raises HP DMG bonus by 45% every action. Auxiliary FR for the month of July is Braska and Desh. Off-turn FR, for example, Seals. Seals FR, when an ice command is used including off-turn, it increases the HP damage bonus by 5%. Seals herself get an additional bonus of 20%. If the enemy attacks Seals, it's another 20%, and if any party member absorb Brave, that's another 20%. Off-turn FR is tuned to characters that deals off-turn damage. Seals increases the HP DMG bonus by 20% and 5% from other characters off-turn. So if 2 off-turns is triggered during Seals' turn, it would increase the HP DMG bonus by 35%. Off-turn FR for the month of July includes Kane and Kryl. So now we are clear with the classification of ability and FR weapon. Let's discuss about the 3 strategies that I will commonly refer to. First is the BT phase strategy. Best used with damage FR, since damage FR condition is tuned to the characters themselves. Go into BT phase to get 7 turns in a row. Use BT phase at 7 turns or at 8 turns left on force time. 7 turns variation uses BT finisher right at the end, while 8 turns variation uses summon after BT finisher, as LVL50 summon deals significant damage. During BT phase, generally start by using S1 or S2, as those skill provides additional charges to HP damage bonus. Use high damage abilities, for example like X abilities, LD abilities, and FR abilities at the end when HP damage bonus is higher. Use hardest hitting abilities last. Yes, in BT phase, you are allowed to use a FR ability even if force time is already activated. It will not extend the force time whatsoever. Treat it as an additional ability. Next strategy is what I call a Supercharge. Characters with buff abilities work well for this strategy. The more buff abilities they have, the better. So character like Ignis, Pinlo, Yuna, Hope all have buff abilities as S1 and S2. Other characters like Luna, Freya, Braska, Kryl has one buff ability. Use buff abilities to charge the force gauge to gain access to force time faster. Basically, spam wall on Selpha for example and charge the force gauge. Apart from supercharging the force gauge, they also can charge the HP damage bonus. Remember, earlier I mentioned that buff ability can charge the HP damage bonus by 50%. Coupled them with auxiliary FR, Ursula FR condition adds 45%, and during force time, buff abilities adds 50% for a total of 95% to HP damage bonus per turn. Bring off turn damager while supercharging. Kain, Freya, Seiss plus Laguna will do a lot of damage during this phase. Generally, supercharge to over 600% HP damage bonus, then use your hardest hitting attacks. Example of hard hitting attacks are Titus BT finisher, Cyan LD call, and many more. And the third strategy is traps, counters, and more off-turn damage. Best used with off-turn FR obviously. Trap users and counters deals additional damage when the enemies take their turn. More turn taken equal more damage dealt. Trap users are such as Seals, Firion, and more, and counters are Orin, Golov, Gladiolus, Edge, Machina, and more. Do consider to remove all speed passives from your characters so they will be slow enough to allow the enemies to take many turns. Off-turn damage from Kain and Freya is also suitable in this setup, as their off-turn damage are triggered even during enemy's turn. And finally, here are some other tips for Shinryu era. First, there is no need to pull for all FR weapons. Build around your FR, don't sleep on LD, especially those that has good utility. You will still need them to deal with boss mechanics. Some character like Ignis will not be getting a FR, but his kit is great for force mechanics. Do consider to force awaken him as well, or Pinlo. And lastly, I will be starting a new content on strategizing with FRS, replacing my current infographic on Team Comp. So stay tuned for more content. That's all for this video, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe.